is Texas Tiger Diggs, and I'm doing in effect a box opening or bag opening here. This is a delivery I got from the post office, and you know, I like to order unique looking diggers and things. You know, they're never that expensive, and it's always fun to take something else out in the field and give them a try. So I'm going to open this thing up and let's go take a look at this thing. Everybody, that's it. Now this does not look like a universally good digger, but I'm going to discuss something in a minute, and then you'll understand why I sometimes make a choice of these kind of diggers. I'm going to say something not the least bit, maybe minor controversy, but I don't think many people could deny that, that this is the case. But we'll see. It'll get me a few thumbs down in the comments, I'm sure. But I have never thumbs down a video in my life. I don't get a lot. I'm just saying I've never done that. I don't know the motivation behind that. I have seen several videos whose principles I didn't follow. I just didn't thumbs them down. Anyway, this is a very, very narrow, very let's just say purpose-specific digger. And I've got the multiple diggers that are along these lines, and you see it's not sharp, so you know I'm not gonna make a plug with this. But this really, I've come to the conclusion that I'm always going to have to use two diggers, and it's specific to my area. But anyway, this is the digger I'm talking about. This is going to be basically to go in and, you know, dig coins or whatever out of, and maybe, you know, feel them, because it is very rounded, which is a good idea, and, you know, pop coins out of the walls of my digs. And the reaction of a lot of people in parts of the country would be, okay, you just create a big enough plug and then you can find your object. But they don't live where I live, and the truth is that digger choice is almost totally dependent upon your ground quality. Now this is a Lesche, little worse for wear here. I need to put some rust reform on there and do a little sanding, get that off. But a little bit worse for wear. Now I don't use the Lesche in my area very often. If I do use it, I'm carrying another digger with me to do the plug, and then the Lesche is basically a tool to pop it out of the little excavation I make with the plug, if I can get a successful plug. And that's always a question in my area. So, and I don't dispute the fact that this is in my opinion, probably the best overall digger, period, for parks and for areas where you want to cause the minimum damage to the environment. So I'm not debating that. I'm just debating that it's not universal. And I know people who treat this if it is universal, but you have to dig in everybody's ground to decide if it's universal. And it doesn't work in my ground. See, what I've got here is Texas dirt, and what I'm seeing here is cracked and dried areas. Now we've had a week or so of very little rain and heat, and right now that's what we've got: concrete hard ground. And like I said, there is no way that at this point that it is possible for me to get a plug out of this ground. So that's what we run into in Texas. That's why we basically have to camouflage, because there's just nothing there. Look how big that crack is. Now it rained its butt off for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before this week's dry period, and already the ground is so cracked and so hard that it's basically like chipping off barely dried concrete to get to your digs. The way it works so well so extraordinarily well. And a lot of the people I see on YouTube, I see guys cutting 12-inch in diameter cuts with the Lesche, and popping up perfect plugs, and then digging down a bit, getting their fines, and everything is great. It doesn't work in my area, and I think I've told you on many occasions why that is. There's no loam content in our soil at all, basically. So basically, when you go down into our soil, you are trying to keep together a plug of matter that is trying its best to fall apart. And that is just the nature where I live in Texas. That's the nature of the soil. I know it's also in other parts of Texas, because I had a commenter a year or so ago, maybe 8 months ago, who said, "Yeah, I see all these perfect plugs," and he said they don't live in Texas. And I said, "Not in our part of Texas." Then we had a little meeting of the minds and things like that, you know, because the soil here in my specific area, and obviously in this gentleman's area, is horrible for digging plugs. You've seen some of my digs, and people say, "Why don't you dig a plug?" Can't dig a plug. So I tend to go in areas where the soil is broken, or I can work around this issue of plugs. Now, I can go into a little bit more grassy areas, a little bit more manicured. Not completely manicured, because some of my plugs are going to fall apart. There's no way to avoid it. They're going to fall apart. And the Lesche, I just cannot get that slice around and then pop up, because it will fall apart on multiple sides. So I have to use a special kind of digger, and I got this, and I was watching dirt fishing at the time I saw it, and didn't realize how good it was for what I do. And it's one of the Predator tools. I can't recall the exact model it is, but this will allow me to dig a plug, you know, rock it in, get a scoop, and then go to the next one, scoop, go to the next one, scoop, go to the next one, scoop, and then potentially be able to hold it with my hand and pop a plug out successfully. And I probably do that 70 or 80% of the time with this tool. So this is the tool for my area. That's not to say it's a tool for everybody's area, though I do see people using it a lot and very well outside my area. But the Lesche, you know, is the big boy and the boss. And I've seen people who can use it like a surgeon. So looking at it that way, the Lesche is, in my opinion, the best overall tool for digging plugs in parks or areas where you want to cause a minimum amount of damage. But it's not universal. Some places it doesn't work. In my area, this is the best tool. Or no, tools of this sort. Not saying this specific one, but tools of this sort. And the thing is, and the reason I have to take in my situation 2 diggers is because because of the lack of cohesiveness in my soil, I have to make smaller plugs than I see some people make. You know, even with this, I've seen people make large plugs with this particular tool and pop them up with no problem. I have to make smaller plugs and hold it and pop it up and then hope it stays intact. So that means I'm going to have less of an area to dig to reach my target. So I have to be pinpoint very well, and then I have to use tools like this. Or I've got other very small, very slim diggers. And basically my purpose in this is to work inside of the plug incision I've made with the Predator. I guess it's almost like a mini shovel with this, and then get in there and see if I can find my target and pop it out, or where I can reach it with a very thin tool that I can go inside that hole. That way I cause the minimum amount on the surface of any disturbance. Now, so I'll pop it in. Now, it's always a balancing act on how small a plug can be and still maintain the growth of the grass. So that's just something you just have to calculate in your mind all the time. Hope you get it right. And hopefully in experience I've gotten better and better at doing that. But like I said, you can go in now with this and then pop it out, because I don't want to extend my excavation area if I can avoid it, because it's going to be hard to get it back together. So I'll go in and pop this. So that's basically what I'm saying. This is a new tool. I think it's going to work real well. It's just it's just, I can mill a plug, let's just say this big around, if not a little bit larger, and then if need be, I won't be able to have to go in here and scoop and maybe destroy the plug or destroy the area where the plug is going. I'm going with this, and then hopefully pop out my coin, my ring, or whatever else I find with a thinner tool. And I have more than one tool. This is just something I got. Didn't cost much, so I decided I'd give it a try. Looks pretty good. In any case, that's basically what I wanted to go over, is the use of the tool that fits the job. And I think that holds true for a lot. There are a few universal metal detecting truths that we've stumbled across, and we all probably use some of those same ideas. I won't discuss those. There's so many. And some people have come at those ideas independently of anything more than YouTube. Well, it's not independent from YouTube. But let's just say people have created their own versions of those techniques. But no technique fits all, and no digger fits all land circumstances. You would not use a Lesche on a beach, and I can't use a Lesche in my soil. Now, I'm not saying somebody else might not be able to do it. I can't. So that's only a personal thing. So that's all I've got to say. It's just, you know, I'm always going to be taking out two tools. I'm always going to be taking out two diggers. You know, it's always going to be one scoop or one tool where I can make a plug, and then one where I can explore that plug in case I need to dig into the corners, into the sides, or into the side walls. In any case, this is Texas Tiger Digs, and that's my little blurb for the day. So you get the box opening of, I think it called it a dig it, and just a little thing of why I'm almost always going to be forced to use two tools only in my specific areas. I'm not saying it should be universal for anybody else, and I'm not saying you should adapt that for your function. It's just the way I have to do things. All right, this is Texas Tiger Digs, and I will catch you next time, and you have a wonderful day and good hunting.